Hi, everybody, and welcome to King Operating Weekly Oil and Gas Rundown. We are so thankful that you are joining us live. So today we've got a great show for you and some of our very smart and amazing members of our team. Today we have Kelly Duncan, EVP of Operations. We've got Ryan Garris, who is EVP of Engineering, and Rex Gifford, our EVP of Tax. So I'm telling you, you're going to get some great information today. These are some very smart gentlemen that we are very proud to have on our team with incredible experience in oil and gas. So welcome, gentlemen. Welcome today to the show.
Thanks, Rachel.
Say hi. Say a little hi to everybody out there.
Hello. Hello.
All right, you guys. So we had some questions that came in last week as comments to the show. So I'm going to start with our first question. And Kelly, this is going to you. I know that you're in your car right now because you are a man who is usually all over the place on some well site that we have checking things out. So I want to give a special thanks for making time to jump in today.
No problem. I'm blessed to not be on a well site today, but checking out some new technology. Just got done with one of our up-and-coming vendors in Venture, showing me some real new technology that's going to help us save big time and money, and more importantly, some real risk mitigation in our go-forward operations. So we had some problems on some previous wells, just historically in my career, and these guys in Venture have brought some new technologies that have really helped, that I think are going to revolutionize some of the operations we do in our long reach horizontal wells. So that's what I've been working on today.
That's amazing. That technology has really changed. I know we talked about that some on our last show. So speaking of horizontal drilling, so our question from Daryl Chicken is on the last LinkedIn we had. He asked, what new area do you think could be the next big spot in horizontal drilling?
That's a great question, and I'm not a geologist, so I don't have that magical answer in me, but there's lots of speculation, lots of talk out there in the world. I'm not a rock sniffer, but I know, Permian Basin, greater West Texas is definitely gobbled up by everybody. It's a land fight out there. Most things are locked down. So that is an industry as a whole. We're looking all over. King sees some real great opportunity in the Mid-Con area, kind of Texas, Oklahoma panhandle. A little around there. That's where we're focusing our energy. And I definitely think that go for the next few years here, you're going to see a lot of technology there. I've talked to some at some industry events recently, AADE, some drilling technical conferences that I've attended. A lot of people are looking at the Rockies again, Northern Rockies. I've met more activity going on in Utah. Some old projects that I worked vertical as a rookie engineer 25 years ago. Matter of fact, I was with a guy last week who's operating the field that I operated when I was 21 years old. And they're out there gone from our vertical technology to horizontal. So people are always looking every day, looking for the next big play to turn around. And Permian's going to keep going strong. We talked about that last week quite a bit. Yep. But at the same time, people are looking for where they can take the technology we've taken there and roll out other places.
Yeah, very, very interesting how horizontal drilling is now allowing people to go back into areas where there were just vertical wells. Is that correct? And now they're able to all of a sudden change the game for what was just a vertical well is now bringing forth all this oil from a horizontal well. It's truly amazing. So I hope you guys are learning something. I learn something every time I'm on this live myself. Like when I get to be with these type of people on this panel, I'm so honored to learn so much. So Kelly, talking about drilling, how long does it take to drill a well, start to finish, and what is the hardest part out in the field?
Speed is all relative. Ryan and I do a lot of budgeting. He does a lot of the calculations for our budgets, and I provide the numbers for him. My generic number in Permian Basin drilling and repetitive work has really definitely changed and sped this up. My magic number, if somebody catches me at a lunch and says, hey, I need a number on a cocktail napkin to run some numbers on, my number is I calculate on 800 foot a day. That's my magic number. So if you've got a 24,000 foot well, then my quick number is I would budget for 30 days. That can be beat. There's parts of the world that wells that we drill at 20 days a few years ago, thanks to advancements in drilling technology, horizontal drilling techniques. these new rotary steerable systems, extended reach laterals, all these things, they zip down several thousand feet a day. But I use 800 as an average just because that gives you, there's casing points, there's flat time, there's moving the rig on and off. So they kind of use that number. So my magic number is 800 foot a day. Challenging. There's challenges everywhere. Like I said, a lot of the drilling done these days, what we call, kind of lined up and almost like they're producing a machine here and producing widgets where they're drilling the same well type every time. But to go back to your original question earlier, new areas, that's where your challenges come. Most drilling engineers, myself included, are what I call an engineer by closeology. I've used this adage twice today, including our meeting that Ryan and I were this morning. It's early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. So when you go into new areas where the technology has not been proven, where the rock information is not as detailed as, say, like the middle of Midland County, where you can see rigs in every corner, there's a lot of challenges. You're going off of maybe some of the wells look at these days, the offset wells were drilled in the 1960s. Old logs, old data. Techniques were obviously way different. And sometimes drilling fast is a challenge. Like, the drilling slower was easier. So just a lack of knowledge, going into new areas, there's a learning curve. The goal as a drilling engineer is to get in, be safe, to drill a well successfully, get a bench line, get a benchmark, and then immediately start looking for opportunities like the people I met with today, or like Mr. Chicken, whose voice came in earlier. He's a provider of services for us as well. His technology helps drill faster laterals. And so applying those technologies and techniques to speeding that process up and mitigating any of the challenges we have. So.
Hey, all right. I love that you start talking about technology, because that is also another question. And this is going to go over to Ryan, but I want to talk about the technology development and how, with AI data centers using so much power, will natural gas be the steady energy source that we're going to rely on, Ryan, or just a short-term solution? Do we ever see renewables catching up? What are we looking at, Ryan, on the landscape for AI, data centers, and what's happening with natural gas?
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. So, the quick answer is there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to have to see unfold over the long term in order to know the answer to that. But, in the short term, renewables have challenges, right? There's the scalability and the lead time that's required, in order to make a meaningful amount of power with renewables. But there are a number of challenges in the long term as well. Renewables, they're challenging to use for base load power. They have a long response time. They don't have the spinning inertia that you see with more conventional types of power, especially including natural gas generation, when you have these large masses of spinning machinery that can absorb variations in the power grid, and you just don't get that with renewables, right? So there's challenges when you try to use exclusively renewable energy for anything, frankly, and that includes AI, server farms and those kinds of things. Not to mention just the overall, and that's kind of on a micro level, but even on a larger level, solar panels don't make power at night, and wind turbines don't make power when the wind isn't blowing, and actually they don't make power when the wind is blowing too hard. So, batteries can do only so much for you. You can only, right now technology only allows us to store so much power, right? So natural gas is still, in my mind, the clear winner. We'll see where it goes over the very long term, but right now, building these kinds of facilities in areas that are already rich in energy due to oil and natural gas production, makes sense in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ryan, when did we first see, I mean, obviously you've been in the industry a long time, right? So you've watched this development of natural gas. Natural gas was, kind of big, heating homes. It was, a cleaner energy. When did the industry see this all of a sudden? Wow, natural gas is actually going to be a much larger part potentially in Bitcoin and in, AI. When did you first see that on the horizon?
Well, I mean, I think the first of that I saw was when folks were actually mining Bitcoin using natural gas, excess natural gas to generate power in areas where the natural gas may not there may not be an infrastructure for it in order to sell it and send it to a power plant or send it to for heating. I can give you the exact year, but I think the first that I actually heard about that, and that doesn't mean this wasn't being done before then, would have been maybe 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. Again, maybe it was being done before that, but that was really the first that I had heard of it. And then, you know, that's just sort of expanded and expanded to the point now where we're looking at, huge AI facilities being built near, the actual natural gas sources.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the progression of things throughout history. And, you're saying 2018 maybe, and now we're looking at natural gas as a very important part of the potential future of AI technology and data centers and all these things. It's quite amazing and intriguing personally for me actually to watch that progression and see that, oil and natural gas is not going away, but it may be used differently than what we had expected 10 years ago. The world is ever shaping and evolving. It's really amazing to witness.
Yeah, 10 years ago, I don't think anyone would have predicted that AI would be here and it would be consuming the amount of energy that it is.
Yeah, it's a crazy amount, right? I mean, the data centers need, I mean, when they power on, I wish I had some of the quick facts, and maybe we'll do another live on that. Do you know any quick facts on that, Ryan? Put you on the spot?
Not reliable enough to start throwing them out there here.
All right, so maybe
I've heard some statistics. I haven't fact checked them, but it is an enormous amount of power. I will say, I do know that right now, globally, AI is consuming more power than many nations on Earth consume.
Yeah. Yes. So I think that's giving me an idea for another one of our lives to maybe we can get together, Ryan, and break down some actual statistical facts about how much power it is using, how much natural gas it's using, and get that to people. Because I personally find it fascinating when you hear some of these numbers about when they just do a test on ChatGPT. It's like powering Japan. I want to fact check that, but it's something crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right, Ryan, maybe that's our part two. So kind of that segue, you guys, thinking about how oil and natural gas is still very much in demand. In fact, there's more demand right now than production going on. Correct, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, that is correct.
And another segue, Ryan, is in 2017, we started first creating LNG plants. Prior to 2017, all of our natural gas was stranded within the continental United States. And now we have 8 LNG operating plants that not only is AI and Bitcoin mining demanding LNG, but we're exporting more natural gas than ever before through our LNG processing.
Yes, and we touched a little bit about that last week, but I think that's another great thing that we should do specifically on LNG, liquefied natural gas, and exporting it. But Rex, this is great for you because tell us why then what is the benefit of getting into investing, into oil and gas? What are some of today's tax breaks for helping with oil and gas production? And, what is the benefit of that, especially tax related?
Well, one of the questions that I posed to myself was, what's the difference between buying energy stocks and what's the difference between participating there, what I call at the wellhead? And what you're doing by participating at the wellhead is you're investing generally in a partnership where that partnership's assets is acquiring working interest that ultimately will be developed by drilling oil wells or natural gas wells or wells that produce both. So hypothetically, if you invest $100,000 and you acquire energy stocks, you're going to purchase, for instance, 1,000 shares at $100 a share, and you've got $100,000 cost. If you invest in the well at the wellhead, you invest 100,000, and because you're probably going to save at a marginal tax rate of up to say $40,000, your true net cost to participate is 60,000 versus the 100,000. One of the things that really makes oil and gas attractive that has come about because of the big beautiful bill is two primary components. One is the allowance to deduct 100% of tangible costs for the development of a well, where in 2025 it was 40%, and in 2026 it was going to decline to 20%. So effective January 21st, when our dear President Trump came into office, then the effective date has now become 100%, and that is effective through 2027. The second major component is, in order to establish parity between C corps that are taxed at 21% and flow-through entities such as partnerships, S corporations, or sole proprietorships, what has been made permanent is the qualified business income deduction. And what that means is that as these pass-through entities pass through taxable income to individuals, you get an additional 20% deduction based on the amount of income that is being generated. For instance, if you have qualifying business income of $100,000, you're going to get an extra deduction of $20,000, so that the true taxable income that you're being taxed on is $80,000. And this qualified business taxable income is permanent. So those are the two main components of what has happened with the big beautiful bill that helps us. There's a lot of other ancillary things that I could discuss, but I don't want to take all of our time doing that.
Okay, well, let's just touch really quickly then, Rex, on why is oil and gas allowed to write off drilling costs? Just I want you to talk a little bit about IDCs and give people a little bit of a better kind of understanding and nugget about why it's so important for them to consider investing, not just with us, but in a working interest fund where they are able to take that IDC deduction.
Well, the major consideration is investing in alternative investments, just in concept.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? Most of the time, alternative investments are going to perform better than normal, ordinary investments that you make, such as the stock market. Or hypothetically, that's the goal. So specifically in oil and gas, if you elect to be a general partner, you can use the deductions such as IDCs, bonus depreciation, and depletion to offset any form of income. If you invest in any other form of alternative investment, you either have to have active participation or everything is treated as subject to the passive loss rules, which means that those losses are suspended until all of your passive income is generated that can absorb those losses. So you can't take IDC's bonus depreciation and depletion against active income unless you invest in oil and gas, because based on section 369, I'm sorry, 469C3A, that is an exception to the passive loss rules.
And actually, guys, just to break that down for those watching, it's really, Rex is like so smart, and I try and go in his office and sit with him and have him explain to me. And I told him today, like, Rex, explain to me like I'm an elementary school child, please, like, because he's so smart. And I'm like, I need the simple version. But what Rex is explaining to you guys is really an amazing value that the US government gives you if you're now, of course, investing in a working interest fund like ours here at King. It does have some qualifications. You do need to be an accredited investor, but it offers you one of the most amazing tax deductions, write-offs against your income, your total income. And it really is like a gold nugget. I'm not making that up, and Rex is here to testify to that. That's not me. That is the US tax code that says thank you for drilling US wells on US soil for the US economy and the US people. And it is really, truly amazing. If you do not, if you haven't been using this and maximizing this in your financial planning and financial strategy, we want you to contact us. Please put a comment below, go to our website, go to King Operating, and reach out to us. Because not only do you get to receive the incredible tax benefits when you're an investor with King Operating, of course, our fund is a little different. I've talked about this before. The upside of oil and gas investing, not the downside. Jay Young, who you guys usually see on here, and he's not with us today. We are missing him today, but he'll be back next Wednesday. He wrote this to really share the different strategy that we have in oil and gas. And it's not just about providing you that tax benefit, is making sure that you are also receiving that passive income every month, cash flow back to you, and a return on your capital with a multiple, because we have a different strategy here to de-risk and diversify, bring you in as a partner, and really take care of you. And we are excited to share more about what we do here at King. So please, if you want more, reach out to us, because this is really a tremendous wealth building strategy that we would love to share more with you about. And I know that Jay usually says this. So if you comment in the comments, first 5 comments, he'll give you a book. I think he would support me on saying that this time. So I'm going to go ahead and go for it. But I got a couple more questions. We're not done. I want to go back real quick to Ryan. I want to do a little news brief about what's going on in Ukraine. So Ukraine just hit some major Russian pipelines. What kind of impact do you see or foresee anything happening with the price of oil or anything like that?
Well, that's a complicated question. Depends on where those pipelines are going,
Right.
and how big they were, and how badly damaged they are, of course. On a simplistic level, you definitely, that's energy coming out of the market. It has to be filled somewhere. Yeah, a lot of the world has Russian oil and gas embargoed. But if the places that aren't embargoed aren't getting Russian energy, they have to get it somewhere else. To me, though, what's more interesting on the horizon than that is actually, if this is coming back and revisiting the LNG thing, what's more interesting is the cessation of European imports of Russian LNG, and the fact that that's on the horizon. I could have my dates a little bit off on this, but basically, January 1st of 2027, I think, Europe is going to quit importing Russian LNG, and the place that they're looking for the world to make up for that is LNG coming out of the United States. So throughout 2026, from, what I understand, that's when they're looking for the U.S. to start that ramp up period, to start to export more. I don't have all the details on that, but that could have a huge impact on natural gas pricing and natural gas demand, and so.
Yeah, that is very interesting. So I'm gonna make a note of that. We're gonna follow back up on that, keep an eye on that, what's happening in Russia there, and natural gas. Very interesting. The world geopolitical arena is always giving us something to keep an eye out for. So fantastic. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and see if we have any questions right now. And if not, we're gonna be ready to wrap it up, guys. Anything else you want to add in there today? Anything interesting you want to throw in? Kelly, I see you going.
No, great conversation today. The future is unknown, but we'll capitalize on it no matter what. So,
absolutely, I love that. Some of the myth I think behind oil and gas has really been oil and gas is going away, and then it's been a global industry leader for 80 years. So I always like,
one of my favorite articles I framed 20 years ago was in one of the oil and gas journals, and this is just tell you how the world's changed. The title, the headline in the magazine article was how the iPod will save the oil field. Well, that dates us, but it was a forecast on the next 20, 30, which would be now, power usage technologies, and we talked about it today. We got a way different geopolitical world, and what we're using power on wasn't even imagined 20 years ago. So we're not just the iPod. There wasn't even an iPhone 20 years ago. So if that tells you how different the world is, and it's only growing by the day by our individual needs, and then this AI and Bitcoin revolution is unfathomable amount of usage. So we like to balance our stuff here at King, oil and gas both, and I say that all the time. I love that we're not 50-50 split, but we're pretty darn close to it. And I like that we're not an oil company and we're not a gas company. We get to ride the waves and reap the benefits of both of those. I've worked for both of my career. I've worked for oil only companies and gas only companies, and neither one of those they learned out of their time, and they're all diversified, and we've always been diversified here. That makes me happy.
Yeah, it does. It makes me happy also that our fund is diversified. We get to have our hand in each one of the buckets, and that's very beneficial. And I remember my first iPod, and it was so amazing. So thank you for that, Kelly. I loved the iPod I had. And yeah, oil and gas, no matter what the world seems to do, it seems to have its part to play in this world. And through all the changes in technology, it has been with us and been faithful to us. So we're very proud to be a part of the oil and gas industry in the United States. So again, anyone out there, if you guys haven't connected with us, we would love your comments. We would love to get an email from you. Please go to the website, kingoperating.com. And this is going to wrap up this week's session of our weekly oil and gas rundown. But make sure to join us here live again next Wednesday, same time. So thank you everybody for joining. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.